We're going to go to go to verse 28.
And Yahawah shall smite thee with madness.
We have the highest numbers of mental illness. That's the madness that he smote us with. Read.
And blindness.
We have the highest rates of blindness. Whether it's a natural blindness or having diseases that affect your eyes, like glaucoma, right? Or like diabetes, different diseases like that. Read.
And astonishment of heart.
Heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. All these things affect our people. Some of it's brought about through just not eating right. Some of it's brought about through overeating, hypertension. He says what? He says astonishment of heart. These things have affected our people disproportionately to the other people that are in this country. Okay? Remember, this is the major place of the captivity. Okay? That's why they say, now who do you think about out of, you got black, Hispanic people, which are Israelites, that make up 50% of the people online for transplants. Europeans make up 41%. This is according to the Department of Health. All right, when you got hypertension, okay, it tells you that hypertension is most prevalent in African American population. Okay, when you look at diabetes, 2.3 million African Americans have diabetes. 1/3 of them don't know about it. We are 1.7 times more likely to have diabetes than regular white people, non-Latino whites, they say. 25% of all Israelites, African Americans, Judah, between 65 and 74 have diabetes. All right? It tells you Native Americans. Native Americans have the highest rate of diabetes in the world. Now, you tell me that diabetes, which causes blindness, which causes inflammation, which causes these diseases that Yahawah says are going to come upon Israel, they fit the profile, and they had their land taken away like the Bible says also. And the strangers that's in their land have gotten above them like the Bible says also. And we want to come and say that they're not Israelites? What about Hispanics and Latinos? Type 2 diabetes is 2 times higher in Latinos than non-Latino whites. All right? 16% of Cubans in America between 45 and 74 have diabetes. 24% of Mexicans and 26% of Puerto Ricans all have diabetes. Hypertension. Non-Hispanic blacks and Mexican Americans are more likely to suffer from hypertension than non-Hispanic whites. Complications include heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, blindness. That's hypertension and diabetes. So all these different things we just read about, how is it only proportionally affecting blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? This is the curse that Yahawah said. And these people had their land totally raped, conquered, retaught a different language, and colonialized by white people. That didn't happen in China. Africa, they still speak their different dialects. China, they still speak their different dialects. Japan, they still speak them. Arabia, they still speak them. It's only over here. Nobody in Puerto Rico speaks Boricua. Even though that's what their ancestors spoke, that's what they call themselves, as Boricua. How many Mayan actually speak Quechua or Mopan or Yucatec Maya? Very few of them. All right? When they show them Brazilians that speak their language, they way off someplace in the cut, their indigenous language. Because we're the only ones that were totally, I mean, you took a whole people and said, you know what? Speak Spanish now. Don't speak your language. And everybody can't speak their own language anymore. That didn't happen in Africa, China, or Japan. They still have those ancestral languages. Okay? So now, keep reading. Oh, let me stroke. African Americans are 50% more likely than white to die from a stroke. It says that American Native / Alaska Native adults are 60% more likely to have a stroke than their white adult counterparts. Okay? They say Asians, Pacific Islanders, adults are less likely than white adults to have suffered from a stroke and are less likely to die from a stroke. And last I checked, them Pacific Islanders may eat a lot of fat and a lot of pig, right? They had the luau's where they got the pig, they roast the pig, right? It says in 2002, Hispanic men were 20% less likely to die from stroke than non-Hispanic white men. So he gave a little sprinkle of relief for the brothers. Cancer. We don't even want to go into cancer. Diabetes, heart disease, AIDS, HIV. Although African Americans make up only 13% of the total U.S. population, they accounted for 50% of the HIV AIDS cases in 2003. And that's only the ones that came forward. So these are curses that came upon Israel. Now, AIDS gives you all of these, I mean, except for the inflammation, because there's nothing inflaming AIDS. Maybe some internal organs, but nothing external really inflames, does it? African-American males are more than 8 times likely, have more than 8 times the age rate than non-Hispanic white males. 8 times, that's 800% more likely to have AIDS than white people. This is what the Department of Health is saying, all right? These statistics that are right here are coming from the Office of Minority Health from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources. So we might read these things in the Bible, but a white person can't go through saying they're a Jew and show how their people fit these different curses, all right? So now when cancer, diabetes, AIDS, HIV, immunizations, infant mortality, stroke, and we have it on every person, all right? We have it on every Israelite group that's in America, okay? Every Israelite group that's in America, we have it, whether we're talking about economics or education or insurance, all right? Or whether you're talking about, for each group, you know, we got African Americans. We know insurance. We know Israelites just don't get insurance because either we can't afford it or it's a bill we don't want to be bothered with. In 2003, 53.9% of African Americans in comparison to non-Hispanic Caucasians use employer-sponsored health insurance. What does that mean? That means that your employer is saying, I will give you insurance, you got to pay this premium. And 53% of us say yes, which means that 46.1% says, no, I don't want it, even though it's available to you. Why? Because we can't afford it. Why? Remember what we read in Baruch 3, because we subject to payments, remember? We got other things that we got to be paying for besides insurance. Man, I ain't got time to be worried about my health, you know? It says 47% of African Americans compared to 7.5% of 4.7.4% of non-Hispanic Caucasians relied on private insurance. All right? So these are all the different curses that came upon us. Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty now. So we're going to close that chapter right up there.